Welcome to this 1-hour English lesson. Today, you're going to learn English with the news. We're going to read 2 different news articles together so you can learn a lot of advanced vocabulary, complex grammar, and correct pronunciation. Let's get started.
Anna May Wong, actress, becomes first Asian American on U.S. currency. Now, currency. This is another word for money. So currency is just describing the money. In the US, currency is in dollars or coins, in paper bills or coins. So currency is another word for money. Actress Anna May Wong is set to become the first Asian American to be featured on US currency. Basically what the title said. Now here, this is a great expression, to be set to become. So what do you notice here? What is this? To become. This is an infinitive, And what kind of verb is this? Well, of course, the verb to be, right? Now, this is important because it helps you understand the sentence structure for expressions, because this expression is formed with the verb be, and then set, be set, and then we have our infinitive. Now, in this case, the infinitive is to become, but we could change the infinitive verb to something else. And then notice, we have our verb conjugated with our subject. Who's the subject? Anna May Wong, of course. So our subject is she, and that's why it is. She is set to become. Now, what does this mean? Be set to and infinitive. So this simply means be ready to or be prepared to. So you can use it in the same way. You might say, for example, I'm set to present at tomorrow's meeting. So my verb to be is conjugated with the subject, I. We have our verb set, which doesn't change. And then we have our infinitive. In this case, my verb is present, and the infinitive doesn't change also. So the only thing you're conjugating is the verb to be. I'm set to present at tomorrow's meeting. Now, native speakers will frequently add the word all for no reason at all. It doesn't add anything to the meaning of it. I'm all set. I'm all set to go to the mall. I'm ready to go to the mall. You don't have to do that. It's just optional. So you could say, I'm set to go to the airport, for example. I'm ready to go. I'm prepared to go. She will appear as part of an effort to feature notable women on American quarters. Wong, who is considered the first Chinese American film star in Hollywood, is the 5th and final woman to be individually featured on the coin this year. Okay, on the coin. What coin are we talking about? A little listening comprehension quiz for you. On the coin. Which coin? Well, the coin is here. The quarter. This could be tricky for you if you're not familiar with American currency, which again means money. So quarter is a type of coin, which is why we have it here. And the value is 25 cents or 0.25 of a dollar. That's the value of a quarter. So it doesn't get you very much. Now, I want to talk about pronunciation because I hear a lot of mistakes with the pronunciation of women. This is, well, I'll ask you, is this singular or plural? Singular or plural? Women, women. Notable women. This is plural. So one woman, two women. I want you to notice my pronunciation. One woman, woman, woman. Two women, two women. One woman, two women. Good pronunciation tip for you to practice. All right, now keep in mind this quarter because I know there's a picture of the quarter below, so you'll get to see this. And remember, a quarter is a coin and it's currency and it's worth 25 cents or 0.25 of a dollar. The quarter will enter general circulation on Monday. To enter general circulation, this is a very formal way of saying will be used by people. So you will get it when you go to a store, when you go to the bank, you will receive it. I don't think you really need to know that for your vocabulary. It's quite formal, but for listening comprehension, for reading comprehension, now you know what it means. It, what does the it represent? It, the quarter, that's the it. It, the quarter, will feature President George Washington on one side and Wong on the other. So we have this coin, there's two sides of the coin. One side is the president, the other side, Wong. Ventris Gibson, director of the U.S. Mint, called Wong a courageous advocate who championed for increased representation and more multidimensional roles for Asian American actors. Now here, this is a good word to have in your vocabulary. It's quite formal, but we use this often in a business context, and you will see it a lot when you're reading anything from the news. So you hear, in this case, they're using it as a noun. She was an advocate. Notice I have a courageous advocate because right now advocate is separated by my adjective courageous. So because of that, this is our adjective. Because of that, I need my article a because a goes with courageous. But if I just have advocate and no adjective in front of it, then I need an advocate. Because we use an when you have a vowel sound before, an advocate. So you can say she was an advocate. This is the noun. We very commonly use this as a verb form. She advocated for Asian American actors. She advocated for. When you advocate for, notice our preposition choice here. You don't advocate to, advocate on, advocate in. You advocate for. When you're learning vocabulary, it's very helpful to learn the prepositions when you learn the words, because if you don't use the correct preposition, it will be grammatically incorrect and it won't sound very good either. She advocated for Asian American actors. So you can advocate for someone. This would be a someone, a group of people. You can also advocate for something. So you might say she advocated for increased representation. So this is a something. Our preposition doesn't change. We still need for in both cases, something, increased representation, or someone, Asian American actors. And when you advocate for someone or something, You act as a representative for them, a supporter for them. You want to promote their views and you want to promote their cause, whatever that cause may be. So you're supporting them. It's just a more formal way of saying it, but very common in a newspaper context. You'll hear it a lot in the media, and it is a good business verb to have as well. This quarter, we're going to see the quarter. Are you excited? Dun, dun, dun. Here's the quarter. So remember, this is worth 25 cents or 1/4 of a dollar, 0.25 of a dollar, 1/4. That's why it's called quarter. So this is a coin. Remember, a coin. The name of the coin is a quarter. There are different coins in American currency. And remember, currency is money. So this is a type of currency, and the type of coin it is a quarter. This is a very nice quarter, isn't it? So if you're in the US right now, you can go to a store, go to a bank, and you might receive this coin. You might receive this quarter. That would be pretty cool. And remember, on the other side, we have President, who was it? George Washington, I believe. This quarter is designed to reflect the breadth and depth of accomplishments by Anna May Wong, who overcame challenges and obstacles she faced during her lifetime, she said. Let's look at breadth and depth. Now, breadth is the range. So if someone has a breadth of knowledge, it means their knowledge is wide on many different subjects. And depth, you can think of as this way. So you have all these different subjects. Let's say one subject is politics, and then you have your depth of politics. So you know many different subjects. That's your breadth of knowledge. And then within each subject, you know a lot about that subject, and that's your depth. So that's a great expression we have. We usually use breadth and depth in terms of knowledge. Here you can see they're doing it with accomplishments. So she could have a breadth of accomplishments, maybe accomplishments as an actress, accomplishments as a teacher, accomplishments as an advocate. And then within each accomplishment, she has a depth of accomplishment. So she has many different times that she advocated, or many different times that she was a successful actress. Here's our lovely quarter again. I'd really like to see one in person now. Let's move on. Wong was born in Los Angeles in 1905. 1905. Notice how I'm pronouncing this as O. The number is 0, 0, 1, 2, 3. I have $0 in my bank account. Hopefully you don't need to say that. I have $0 in my bank account. Hopefully not you. Now, of course, that is this 0, 0, 1, 2, 3. But I wouldn't say 1905. I would for dates. Let me continue here with our date. So with date, you pronounce it as O. That's the pronunciation. 1905. 1905. That's the pronunciation here. But if I'm telling someone my phone number, I might say, I could say 0019 if this was part of my phone number, or 0019. So you could do either with a phone number, 0 or O. Both of them are quite common, to be honest. So with phone numbers, addresses even. I live at 0019 or 0019. Addresses. Money, you would say 0. So for money, you would definitely say 0. But for dates, we would say 1905. Wang was born in Los Angeles in 1905 to Chinese immigrants. Her name at birth was Wang Liu Sung. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. But later in life, she adopted the stage name of Anna May Wang. And I'm sure this is exactly why she changed her name, because Americans don't know how to pronounce that, unfortunately. Formed by joining her English and family names. She was cast in her first role at 14 as an extra in the film The Red Lantern, and continued to take on smaller parts until her lead role in The Toll of the Sea in 1922. You probably don't know these movies. Maybe you do. I don't know these movies. Let's look at this here. What did I want to show you? Okay, first of all, when you're cast in a movie role, this is a verb specific for the entertainment industry. So you can be cast in a TV show, a play, a movie, anything that you perform in. And that is used for the entertainment industry. It means that she was hired for the job, but they don't use this vocabulary in the entertainment industry. This is why when you're learning a language, it's so important to understand the specific industry you're in and then learn the terms and the vocabulary of that industry. If you're in the medical industry, or if you're a lawyer or an engineer, you're going to have very specific vocabulary to your industry, and you need to learn that vocabulary. So if you're in the entertainment industry, you should probably already know this verb, to be cast in a role. So anyone else would just say she was hired for the job. This is in a regular context, not the entertainment industry. Okay, here we have a great phrasal verb, to take on, to take on. When you take something on, you accept responsibility for a project or a task. In this case, she accepted responsibility for a part, which is a part of a movie. So she was in the movie for a portion of time. Your boss, for example, might say, can you take on this client? Which means, can you accept responsibility for this client, for this job? Or, I took on too many projects last month. So last month you said, yes, I can do that. Yes, I can do that. Yes, I can do that. You accepted responsibility for different tasks or different assignments, but it was too much. Or you might say, sorry, I can't take that on right now. I already have a lot on my plate. I'm teaching you a bonus expression right here. The expression is to have a lot on, and then one's plate. The one in this case is me, so I'm changing it to my. But I might say, you have a lot on your plate. She has a lot on her plate. He has a lot on his plate. They have a lot on their plate. Now that means to be very busy. To have a lot on one's plate is an idiom, and it means to be very busy. So that could be the reason why you can't take that on, that being whatever project it is. I can't take on that project. I can't take that on. I have a lot on my plate. So that's a great idiom for you to start using. She appeared in more than 60 movies across her career. That's a lot of movies. That's impressive, including silent films and one of the first made in Technicolor. Interesting. Wong was also the first Asian American lead actor in a U.S. television show, The Gallery of Madame Louison, in which she played a Chinese detective. After facing discrimination in the U.S., she traveled to Europe to work in English, French, and German films. I like this expression here. After, and then you have a gerund. This is a great sentence structure for you to use to sound quite advanced. So you can say, after graduating, I moved abroad. After improving my English, I took on more public speaking. So you accepted responsibility for, I took on more public speaking. After improving. Now you could absolutely say, after I improved, and then everything else would be the same. But notice, in this case, we're using a gerund verb. And in this case, I'm using subject, and then my verb is going to be conjugated in the past simple because the action is complete. After I graduated, I moved abroad. After graduating, I moved abroad. To me, this sounds very natural. It has a nice flow to it, and it sounds more advanced than saying after I graduated. So I highly recommend you add this to your vocabulary. Remember, it is after plus gerund. After plus gerund, which is your verb in ing. How much do we have? Okay, we're almost done here. She was awarded a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in 1960 and died the following year, aged 56. Gemma Chan, known for appearing in Crazy Rich Asians and Marvel's Eternals, is set to portray Wong in an upcoming biopic about the star's life. Oh, so we're going to have a movie coming out about Wong in the near future. Now, here's our expression again, is set to. What does this mean? Is prepared to or ready to. And remember, it's to be set and then infinitive. So here our infinitive is to portray, and our verb to be is conjugated with he, she, it, because what's the subject in this case? Our subject is Gemma Chan. Our subject is quite far removed from our verb, which happens a lot in spoken English, of course, but it happens equally in written English. All of this in the commas is just extra additional information, but our subject is Gemma Chan and our verb is conjugated with the subject. She's ready to portray Wong. The American Women Quarters Program. So this is one name of something. The American Women Quarters Program. Remember our pronunciation of women. Women. The American Women Quarters Program began this year and will feature 5 women each year until 2025. Native Hawaiian hula teacher Edith Kanakaole has been named as one of the selections for 2023. So they're talking about a different quarter. So remember our quarter. So in 2023 is going to be the Hawaiian hula teacher who's going to be on the quarter. So you can look out for that as well. Has been named as one of the selections for 2023. So that's the end of the article. There was one other thing I wanted to explain before we wrap up, which means to end. Before we wrap up, before we end, the following year aged 56. I see a lot of mistakes with age. So you can say she was 56 when she died. So this is correct. You can also say she was 56 years old when she died. That is correct. How about this one? She was 56 years when she died. What do you think? She was 56 years when she died. Is this correct or incorrect? What do you think? This is incorrect. You can't say that. I see this a lot. So you have 2 options when saying age. You can say just the number, 56. She was 56. Or you can include years old. 56 years old. Those are your 2 options. This is not correct. You cannot just say years. You either have to get rid of it or you have to add old. But this by itself is not correct. So make sure you don't say that one. And that is the end of the article. So I hope you enjoyed learning about our actress who is on the quarter, Anna May Wong. And remember, you can watch that upcoming movie about her that's going to be played by Gemma Chan. So that will be quite interesting. So I hope you enjoyed the article.
Amazing job with that article. Now we're going to move on to the next article. Feel free to take a pause, get a cup of tea if you like, and let's continue on.
The headline is gaslighting. Merriam-Webster picks its word of the year. Of course, Merriam-Webster is the dictionary, the most common dictionary in American English, Cambridge Dictionary being the most common in British English, and their word of the year is gaslighting. Don't worry if you don't know what this is. You'll learn all about gaslighting, the new word of the year, in this lesson. So let's continue on. When British playwright Patrick Hamilton wrote Gaslight in 1938, little did he know how often the word would be used in the 21st century. So this explains the image right here. It's from the film Gaslight. I personally have not seen this film. I have never heard of this film. As you can see, it's from 1938, which is probably why I haven't heard of it. Now, they will give us the definition of gaslight. Merriam-Webster, America's oldest dictionary publisher, has just chosen gaslighting as its word of the year. Searches on its website for the word have spiked by 1,700 40% in 2022, according to the company. Now let's take a look at this. Searches have spiked. So when something spikes, generally it's something that is on a chart or on a graph. And when you have a spike, it's a very sharp and sudden increase. So you can think of it as a drastic increase. Let me give you another example using spike. Remember, this is our verb, so we need to conjugate our verb. I could say gas prices have spiked in recent months. It's been months now, in recent months. Gas prices have spiked. So they went from here to here quite quickly. There was a drastic increase, have spiked. And what verb tense am I using right here? Have spiked. I'm using the present perfect to show an action that started in the past and continues until now. And you know that because I also say in recent months right here. Now also notice I have because gas prices, this is plural. So this is what subject is it? I, you, he, she, it, we, they. You can always think back to the subject. This is they have spiked. So if I had something singular, such as the price of milk has spiked. The price of milk has spiked. Now, I can definitely use it without a time reference and still use the present perfect. This shows a past action. So this is a completed past action. Okay? But I have it in the present perfect because there is an impact on the present. When I go to the grocery store today, I have to pay more money for milk. That's the impact on the present, even though the action of the price increase is completed. It's in the past. So that's why it's in the present perfect. And notice how I'm not saying milk has spiked. That doesn't really make sense. Milk, what about it? It's the price of milk, the price. So that's why I said here, gas prices. Gas prices have spiked. The price of milk has spiked. And our subject for this is it. If you turn it into a subject, I, you, he, she, it. And that's why we have has. It has, they have. So you can use this when you have items on a chart. Price is a great one. Sales could have spiked as well, which is really positive. You see a drastic increase in sales. Sales have spiked, for example. Now, you're probably wondering, well, what is gaslighting? What does this mean? Gaslighting is the act or practice of grossly misleading someone, especially for one's own advantage. Okay, this is the definition here. Now let's take a look at grossly misleading someone. When you add grossly, it's the same meaning as a lot. When you're misleading someone a lot, when you're grossly misleading someone. So you can think in this specific context, you can think of this grossly as a lot. And the a lot is referring to how much you're misleading. Now, if you're not sure what misleading someone means, it's when you give information to somebody that is false, and you know that information is false, and you want that person to act according to that false information. So let's say I know that there's a sale on at the Apple Store tomorrow, but they have a very limited supply of iPhones that are on sale. And my friend also wants an iPhone, but there's a very limited supply. And I know the sale is tomorrow, but my friend might ask me, Jennifer, when's the sale? And I say, oh, it's next week. The sale is next week. I just misled my friend because I gave her false information, and I did it because I want to benefit in some way from that. I want the sale for myself. I don't want my friend to have the sale. So I just misled my friend. So it's when you to provide false information on purpose to influence someone's actions or decisions. I influence my friend's decision or action because she isn't going to go to the store tomorrow. She's going to go next week and miss the sale. And then I can add for one's own benefit, which is right here. One's own advantage, benefit, they're the same thing. And it just means I am going to win and my friend is going to lose in some way. Now, I'm going to scroll down because I shared another definition of gaslighting and some other examples. So let's just scroll down and we'll review those now and then we'll come back. So gaslighting, this is a noun. And remember, you can download this PDF so you can have this. And here's another definition I provided. The action of tricking or controlling someone by making them believe things that are not true, especially by suggesting that they may be mentally ill. So I included this definition because it shows how severe gaslighting is and is generally psychological. It's a form of trying to trick someone psychologically. So making them think that there's something wrong with them when there isn't something wrong with them. So I shared the second definition, and then there's some examples. Gaslighting is a form of psychological abuse because you're trying to make someone think that something is wrong with them. Now notice, gaslighting, we started with our gerund, because gaslighting is a noun. So I'm starting my sentence with the gerund, which acts as the subject of the sentence. Gaslighting is a form of psychological abuse. His gaslighting, so it's just the action belonging to him. His gaslighting was a deliberate attempt to convince her that she was losing her grasp on reality. When someone loses their grasp on reality, it's another way of saying that they're going crazy in a very drastic way. That, again, it's that psychological abuse. So you're trying to make someone seem like they aren't okay in their head, in their mind. So losing your grasp on reality. Her father used a gaslighting tactic. So I want you to notice how it's being used, how the word is being used in these different sentences. Her father used a gaslighting tactic when he declared that she must have imagined the entire episode. So imagine you tell your father something traumatic that happened to you. Perhaps your laptop was stolen, okay? And you're telling your father, and your father is trying to convince you that you didn't have a laptop. So now you start to doubt yourself and you start to doubt, I didn't have a laptop? What? I thought it was stolen. I must be losing my grasp on reality. I must be going crazy. There's something wrong with me psychologically because I thought my laptop was stolen, and my father, who I trust, is telling me I didn't even have a laptop. So as you can see, it's a very severe word and it has very negative consequences. So get comfortable with these example sentences to see how you can use gaslighting in your speech. Now let's go back to our article now that you know what gaslighting is. In this age of misinformation. So notice when we add this mis on to information, misinformation is false information. Which is interesting because we can take our word lead someone, but when you add mis in front of it, it means that you're falsely leading them. So it's the same suffix in a way. So just remember information, but if you add mis, it means false information. In this age of false information, fake news, conspiracy theories, Twitter trolls, and deepfakes, gaslighting has emerged as a word for our time, Merriam-Webster said in a statement on Monday. Notice here, has emerged. This is our present perfect. It's a completed action in the past that has an impact on the present. The impact is now everybody is talking about this. It's the word of the year. And notice gaslighting is singular. So that's why we have has. It would be conjugated as it. It has emerged. Curiously, search interest in the word was not driven by any single event, the company's editor-at-large told the Associated Press. So notice here, curiously. Now watch my face. Curiously, So they're saying this to say, well, isn't that interesting? Curiously. So they're saying they're surprised by this. Curiously. So you can add that when you want your audience to understand that it's not something you expected. So you might say, curiously, she turned down the promotion. So when you turn something down, you do not accept the offer. So you can say, curiously, she did not accept the promotion. That's the meaning of to turn down, is she did not accept. But we would expect her to accept the promotion, right? So if I say curiously, why did she do that? It makes you think about it. It makes you wonder. It's not what you expected. Search interest in the word was not driven by. Okay. Was not driven by. So this is a great expression. Notice the sentence structure because this is advanced. Something is driven by something. Now this is another way of saying caused by, when you want to provide the reason why. So I could say recent sales were driven by Black Friday. So of course, all prices are reduced on Black Friday, right? There's promotions. So I could say recent sales were driven by Black Friday. This is another way of saying we're caused by when I want to provide the reason. Cause. So I can say driven by or caused by. Now notice the sentence structure because this is in the passive form. Recent sales, this is plural. There's more than one. So I need my verb to be they were. I need my plural form of the verb to be, and it's in the past simple because it's the passive voice. Now, driven does not change because it's in the passive. If I wanted to put this in the active sentence, what would I do? Any ideas? I need to start with Black Friday drove recent sales. Drove is in the past simple. Drive, drove, driven. I'll write that down for you. Drive, drove, driven. Those are our three forms. As you can see, it's irregular. Black Friday drove recent sales. That's the active. In the passive, recent sales were driven by Black Friday. So this is our active. So that's an advanced structure that will sound really great adding to your speech. Let's continue. It was a word looked up frequently every single day of the year. Peter Sokolowski, your guess is as good as mine. Peter Sokolowski told the U.S. Wire Service. So notice here our phrasal verb to look something up. This is another way of saying to search for. And we use it specifically with internet searches, with Google searches when you're trying to find information. It was a word looked up. So this is very common. Someone might ask you, can you look up when the store closes? So they want you to look it up. They want you to Google, when does the store close? They want you to find the information and then share the information with them. Can you look up when the store closes? Did you look that up yet? So they're a few minutes later, an hour later, hey, did you look that up yet? Yeah, I looked it up, but I couldn't find anything. Let me call them. So you're saying you tried to find, you looked it up, you Googled it, but there was no information available online. So you have to call them. So very common phrasal verb. Gaslighting derives its origins from Hamilton's Victorian-era play set in London about a middle-class marriage based on lies and deceit. That makes sense, right? Because gaslighting is all about lying to someone, misleading someone. Remember, misleading, misinformation to try to make someone think they're losing their grasp on reality. They're going crazy. Lead character Jack Manningham seeks to convince his wife Bella that she is going insane. So insane is another way of saying you're losing your grasp on reality, including by saying she is imagining the dimming of the gaslight in their home. Oh, this is interesting. This is interesting because it shows you where the word comes from. Because isn't it weird? Gaslighting. What is that? What kind of word is that? Well, it's from this play where this exact situation happened. This is very interesting to me, at least, because I had no idea where this term came from. So the gaslight is just the light, but of course, back in 1930s, they used gas to light their lamps in their home. The play was twice adapted for the screen in the UK in 1940, then in the US in 1944. The American version, which stars Ingrid Bergman, won 2 Academy Awards and is preserved in the U.S. National Film Registry as a culturally historically or aesthetically significant work. So that just tells you about the importance of the film, which I didn't know anything about this film, so that's quite interesting. Now, maybe I'll watch this film. But as Merriam-Webster notes, while the term referred primarily to psychological manipulation in the 20th century, its modern use is driven by the vast increase in channels and technologies used to mislead people, especially in personal and political contexts. So this is interesting. They're saying primarily it was about psychological. What? I didn't have a laptop? Or what? The light was always this bright? They're trying to trick you psychologically. But they're saying now the word is evolving into using more general misinformation. Remember, misinformation, false information. And here they're showing us again the word mislead, because there are channels and technologies used to mislead people. So there might be a channel telling you that you should do this for some specific reason, but they're misleading you. It's false information, and it could be for a personal gain or a political gain as well. And notice again, is driven by its modern use. So it being the term gaslighting. So the modern use of the term gaslighting is driven by. So it's caused by the vast increase. Vast means a lot, a vast increase. So it's a significant increase. That could be another way of thinking of it. That's another very useful adjective to have. Significant increase, vast increase. So these are just terms to say increase a lot. They're adjectives. Significant increase, vast increase. So that's an adjective there. And significant increase, that's a very advanced adjective. And same with vast increase. Of course, it sounds a lot more advanced than saying it increased a lot. It increased a lot. There was a significant increase. There was a vast increase. So that's a great advanced adjective that you can use. And that's the end of the article. So now you know all about gaslighting, the word of the year. So now I'm going to read the article from start to finish so you can practice along with my pronunciation. Gaslighting. Merriam-Webster picks its word of the year. When British playwright Patrick Hamilton wrote Gaslight in 1938, little did he know how often the word would be used in the 21st century. Merriam-Webster, America's oldest dictionary publisher, has just chosen gaslighting as its word of the year. Searches on its website for the word have spiked by 1,740% in 2022, according to the company. Gaslighting is the act or practice of grossly misleading someone, especially for one's own advantage. In this age of misinformation, of fake news, conspiracy theories, Twitter trolls, and deep fakes, gaslighting has emerged as a word for our time, Merriam-Webster said in a statement on Monday. Curiously, search interest in the word was not driven by any single event, the company's editor-at-large told the Associated Press. It was a word looked up frequently every single day of the year, Peter Sokolowski told the U.S. Wire Service. Gaslighting derives its origins from Hamilton's Victorian-era play set in London about a middle-class marriage based on lies and deceit. Lead character Jack Manningham seeks to convince his wife Bella that she is going insane. including by saying she is imagining the dimming of the gaslight in their home. The play was twice adapted for the screen, in the UK in 1940, then in the US in 1944. The American version, which stars Ingrid Bergman, won 2 Academy Awards and is preserved in the U.S. National Film Registry as a culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant work. But as Merriam-Webster notes, while the term referred primarily to psychological manipulation in the 20th century, its modern use is driven by the vast increase in channels and technologies used to mislead people, especially in personal and political context.
Amazing job with this lesson. If you're up for it, I have another lesson right here that I know you're going to love. And make sure you get your free speaking guide where I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. You can get it from my website right here. And when you're ready, get started with your next lesson.